Good morning, Cindy here, and today we are going to talk about the dreaded rose disease called Rose Rosette. I discovered it on this rose yesterday evening. This is a knockout rose. They are really quite resistant to lots of different pests in the garden, but there is no rose at this time that is resistant to Rose Rosette. And I'm going to get up a little closer and show you what it looks like. And I'm going to tell you everything we need to do if, and probably when, you find Rose Rosette on one of your rose bushes. So let's get a closer look. So some of the signs that you have Rose Rosette is the witch's broom effect of the branches and this really discolored red of the leaves. And I'm going to pull this down and show you. And they just get covered with thorns, just an excessive amount of thorns. There. Can you see how there are excessive thorns on this section here? That's called the witch's broom effect. And there are about 4 branches in here that are infected. And I mistakenly discovered this about a month ago. And I thought, oh, I'll just cut that all out and maybe I can save the rose. Well, I actually caused many more things to go wrong because I did that. So learn from me. If you ever see Rose Rosette, you take the whole rose out ASAP and you don't just cut off a big section. So how did my roses get this disease? Well, researchers have discovered that this disease was transmitted through a microscopic mite, and it's called the Phyllocoptus fructiphilus. And it is a very aggressive little guy. It is transmitted through the air. So in the wind can send this little mite all over everyone's backyards. It also travels on tools, on clothing, on your shoes. So it's not that easy to keep the mite off of your property. But once you do get the mite, or if you do get the mite, it is very important that you get rid of the entire rose immediately. And when I get back and look at my rose, it was giving me lots of signs that it was sick. You see how there were a lot of yellow leaves in here, and this section, the buds were not opening correctly. They were just dying before they opened. And as I get down here, you can see a lot of yellowing of the leaves. And then I discovered the Rose Rosette. So best practices, what should I have done? So right now, the thing I need to do is I have to take out the whole entire rose. I'm going to bag it up and I'm going to put it in the trash. You do not compost this rose at all. So we have known about this disease since 2010 here in Texas, and it has been absolutely devastating to all of the rosarians in our area. If you've ever been to Tyler, Texas, or North Texas, the roses there are just spectacular, but they too have been hit by this dreaded disease. And they are following best practices, so they still have roses, but they have had to rip out large amounts of them, and using different ways of planting has made a difference in whether that mite can get from rose to rose. One bit of good news is this mite does not affect any other plants in your garden. So that is some bit of silver lining here. So best practices when you are putting roses in your garden. The new thinking until they come up with a cure for Rose Rosette, which there is no cure at this time. Believe me, I searched every website, Texas A&M, Proven Winners, the Tyler Rose Society, the American Rose Society. There is no cure yet. So all we can do is try to take preventative measures before you think about putting roses in your garden. The first thing is you should have 5 to 6 feet of space between your roses. I have like no space, just there's 6 inches of space. So that was my first mistake. This is Belinda's dream right here, and more than likely this will have Rose Rosette soon. The mite that has infected this rose is transmitted from rose to rose through wind, and it is really easy on a windy day for those little mites to get over to the next rose. Another best practice is not to put 2 roses together. I should have put something else here, which I will, and that way if a mite gets on this rose and causes the disease, it's going to be stopped in its tracks and it won't get over to these roses. These roses are touching. These are some more knockout roses. I had trimmed them recently. And if the mite, which was just right here, gets here, then I lose all of my roses. So best practices is not to put 2 roses together and put a different kind of plant between roses, and that way the mite cannot get from one rose to another so easily. I don't know how this mite got into my backyard. Who knows? It could have flown in through the wind from another rose down the street. I have no idea, but they're definitely here. And it is just very depressing as a gardener when you work so hard and fertilize and when you find Rose Rosette. But I'm going to do everything I can right now to get rid of this rose, and hopefully it hasn't jumped to the others that are so close to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've covered the other roses with some tarp. So hopefully as I'm shaking this rose as we're trying to take it out, I am not causing the mites to drift over to the other roses. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start trimming out these longer branches and putting them directly in the bag. And then my husband is going to dig out the root ball. And we're going to do our very best to get every bit of root out of the ground and every bit of leaf litter off of the mulch. And that way that hopefully I can keep any of this infested leaves and branches from infecting any of the roses on either side. Here we go. So it's not really necessary to use my Clorox wipes right now, but I am going to definitely clean my tools very well after this and hopefully not spread this microscopic disease from plant to plant. So first thing we'll do is just take off big hunks of this, and it's just heartbreaking. But you got to do it to save the other roses. And this is the color. When you get this burgundy leaf, you can be concerned. And when you get all of these thorns, just tons of thorns, excessive amounts of thorns, you know something is not right. And you put this directly in the bag. So we've raked up all the mulch. We're going to get every little bit of mulch that was in the area and every rose leaf I can find. And that's the best we can do. One rose. And we will take that out to the street, and hopefully we have contained the virus into this bag and my other roses will be fine. But there's a pretty high probability that it's too late and the other roses will probably get it too. Please leave a comment below and tell me what your experience has been if you've ever had Rose Rosette. I also wanted to point out that roses do get a dark purple leaf when they are putting out a new stem or a new branch. So this is not Rose Rosette. This is a healthy dark purple leaf that just says, I am putting out new branches. So don't panic if you start seeing these purple leaves. This is not Rose Rosette. You also have to have the incredible amount of thorns, and there are very few thorns here, so this is healthy. So I didn't want to confuse you guys whenever you see dark purple that you immediately need to rip the rose out. So follow up, I am going to be cleaning all of these tools real well. I have a bleach cleaner here. I'm just going to spray everything down very well, front and back, and let them sit out for a while. And hopefully that will take care of any mites or virus that is on any of these tools. These gloves, I'm going to put these gloves and my clothes directly in the washing machine before I touch any of my other roses. And my other roses, I am going to cover them with some neem oil. The neem oil might kill the mites that are already on, possibly on the other roses, but it isn't going to do anything if the mites have already started chewing on the roses. And there's just nothing I can do about that. I will monitor the roses very carefully, and if I start noticing that Rose Rosette is on any of the other roses, immediately I will take them out. I won't do like I did and just cut off a big part of the rose and hope it goes away. It's not going to go away according to the research. You have to take out the entire rose, otherwise you will cause damage to every single rose in your whole garden, which is maybe what I have done because I left it in place for so long. So learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I did thinking I could just hack off a piece. Rose Rosette is serious. It's a serious disease with no cure. So thank you so much. Please leave some comments. I would love to hear what, if you've had Rose Rosette, we can commiserate together in the comments about how sad this is when you have to take out a whole entire rose bush, and sometimes every rose bush in your garden. So let me know how things have gone for you if you are a rosarian and love roses as much as I do. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.